So, Recidivism and the Prison's Role by Billy Clemens, me. So, what is recidivism? So, it is convicted criminals reoffending. So, this is someone that's gone through the entire system and then they get released and then they end up back in the system. In the United States, 60% of 404,000 were rearrested within 2 years and 36% were reconvicted. And this is in 30 states and done in 2005. This is important because we have one of the highest prison populations, and I'll show you just in a second what I mean by that. But it's roughly 760, if you include jails, per 100,000 people that are in prison or in incarceration in the United States. And kind of what I was touching on just then is 2.4 million Americans are incarcerated here. That's one out of every 100 adults, so roughly 1% of the population, which is a staggering number, especially when you compare us to the world. So the United States makes up about 24% of the world's prison population, and China is next at 19.5%, which isn't that huge of a big of a difference, but it's important to remember that we have 1 billion less people than China. 1 billion less. So the fact that we have more people incarcerated than a nation that has more people than us is staggering in itself and alarming. So, and this is in part due that we in the United States kind of prioritize punishment and not rehabilitation. We have different prison systems; they vary wildly, and it's known that in the tougher prisons, it doesn't actually benefit them. They actually it has the opposite effect that once they get released from these prisons, they are more likely to be reincarcerated again. There's a higher chance of them reoffending than if they hadn't been arrested in the first place and put through a prison system, which is not good. And why does it matter? So why would it matter to you or me? It costs it costs money. It costs a lot of money to continuously house people, release them. Prisons cost a lot of money. Judges, the officer that arrests them, the entire thing takes a lot of time and effort, and a lot of time and effort that could be used for other things and resources. And it's not actually fixing anything, it's just perpetuating the cycle. So we are just continuously getting them, putting them out there, and then it's this. And if you ever speak to anyone in these areas or fields, you'll notice that they continuously say that they'll see the same people come through. And in a sense, we're actually helping them network. Because you'll take someone that has like a minor offense and then put them into a prison that has a whole wide range of different people there. And people make friends. We're social animals, so we will socialize. And in most cases, they socialize and then, you know, make friends with the wrong people. So why don't we just fix it? It doesn't seem that hard. However, private prisons, roughly 8% of all incarcerated people are housed in private prisons, and they are literally encouraged to have people recidivize because they get more money the more people they have. Lack of programs. This is a huge one. Not just lack of programs, but also lack of funding for the programs that are there. We don't really set them up for success that well, and it shows. We kind of just leave them out to dry for the most part. Uh, and then lack of support outside the prison. So once people are even released, we don't actually have the tools and things in place to actually help them get out of the situation or out of what caused the situation in the first place. And we also need to be more picky on how we actually imprison people. So, what I mean by that is we shouldn't imprison people for lesser offenses and save that for the more severe things. So that way we're not networking them and not putting them in touch with things that are worse than what they actually did. And that's all I got. Thank you. Feel free to leave questions in the comment and check the description for sources.